Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Here again today, Yankee Springs, filming a couple of different series of videos for you guys. The first video was all about airing our tires down with the Apex rapid precision valves and how quick that is. It's awesome and it's just insane how well those work. But now we've got two tires here that are deflated. This one is down to 10 psi and that one is down to 15. So we're here, middle of the trail. Shoot. Where am I supposed to air up? ARB 4x4 accessories, air accessories. I'm not 100% sure what their actual term name is, but they're known as ARB. They make the single compressor and a dual twin compressor. We ended up going with the twin compressor. But this video is going to be all about airing up these tires and using the ARB compressor with the 813 fabrication mounts. Let's get after it. Okay, so starting off, we have the 813 fabrication seat brackets. The reason that I went with the 813 fabrication brackets are there's so many different ways that you can mount the ARB twin compressor. You could mount it under the hood in various different locations. You can mount it inside of the inner fender on the driver's side. You can mount it underneath the driver's seat, the passenger seat, behind the back seat. You can mount it in the bed. You can mount it inside the frame rails. There's so many different locations that you can mount that compressor itself. What it boils down to is I'm not going to get into why I didn't want the other reason or the other locations. Rather, I'm going to tell you why I chose under the seat. The reason I did under the seat is it's out of the elements, it's out of the heat of the engine bay, and it's accessible. I now carry the little socket that it takes. It's a, what do they call it? An inverted Torx bit. I carry those with me just in case I were to need to pull my seat up. So I have accessibility to pull my seat out, which it's literally 4 bolts. I can pull that out and access all of my compressor and all of my wiring and hosing and all that on the fly. So that's one of the reasons that, or the main reason that I decided to go with underneath the seat. So let me show you about this bracket. So 813 Fabrication is Jeremy Williams. He will work with you and make sure that this stuff works for you. He's a great guy, great company. If you have any issues, he'll make it right. And I had some issues with some of my stuff, and we'll go over all that. But basically, what I did was the compressor itself is mounted underneath the seat. So let me show you that. Easiest way is from the back. Some of Aspen's toys. So this is the bracket itself, and then there's the compressor. So dual compressor, 2 cylinders. I've got the manifold kit, all the hosing, all the wiring that's underneath, and then the bracket from 813 that mounts. So how this mounts is the seat itself sits on top of this bracket. So there's a mount there and a mount on the other side, and it's as simple as that. I also ran the heat shield to help with heat from the compressor, so that way it doesn't put into the floor. And then I had to make some adjustments in the manifold so it actually fit where I wanted it. I really wanted the manifold over here, so I had accessibility to the ports when I run lockers, if I do run air lockers. So yeah, it's super clean. Downside was I ended up having to cut my floor mats, or just this side of the floor mat. I decided to do it because it stuck up, it looked bad, it was driving me nuts, it got in the way. So I ended up cutting it. No harm, no foul. Everything's been great since. They make different, this is a molly panel, so you can mount whatever to it. They make little brackets for like flashlights and fire extinguishers and all sorts of stuff that goes on there. So that is the compressor itself. Now, the bracket here on the side that you're seeing from the driver's side has the switch for the compressor, and it has one of the inlet couplers. So this is just a quick disconnect. We'll show you guys that here shortly. And then all the wiring, it's gonna be really difficult to show you. All the wiring, you probably can't see any of that under there, but all the wiring is under there. It runs through a grommet, which we use black silicone to seal up, which has actually worked really good. I was really skeptical about it when we were going to Drummond with all the water that we go through. And then it runs underneath the Jeep. So I use the Overland Expedition Essentials, I think is the company's name. I use them for the wiring harness extension. Being that it's mounted underneath the driver's seat, I have to have a long extension to get it into the engine bay where it needs to go. So I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so coming from driver's side, it comes from down here, this gray harness, up and across the back side of the firewall. And it runs down here, runs down inside here, and then it pops out to, I've got my dual fuses. I might end up rerouting these, and there's a bracket that I can either buy or make. It's just a simple little bracket that comes off of this screw. And you can bolt these things to the side there through that hole, and then it looks clean. You have accessibility to the fuses, so I might end up doing that. And then you have all of your grounds that go with that. I started making some, I had a friend actually making some labels. So, see if you can read that. ARB air compressor, GMRS negative. So I've got some more labels I need to finish up putting in here, but all of my wiring harness for the ARB compressor and the lockers and all that stuff is all right there. It all goes to the battery. It's actually not too bad. I did have some issues with figuring out which ones I was needing, which wires, because I ordered the wiring harness extension to include the lockers, the locker wiring. And the reason I did that is I'm certain that I'm going to end up with air lockers, so I might as well have the switches there and all the wiring ready to go, so I don't have to feed it in after and splice all that together and connect it. It's just all there ready to go. But because I'm not running lockers now, I didn't need certain wires and I didn't want to get rid of them. I just have to separate everything and make sure it was all good to go. So it was a little bit of a headache trying to figure that out. John Hartel of Gator Overland helped me out a lot with that. Same with Dave. He was tremendous help with doing all this install. But nonetheless, that's the 813 fabrication bracket for the driver's side. And then what I did was underneath the center console, I ran the extension hose that goes over to a coupler on the passenger side. You can kind of see it right there, silver. That goes underneath the center console over to the driver's side to that manifold. So now I have a coupler on this side as well, and it's just a coupler over here, so that's why it's a lot smaller bracket. So simple as that. So now we don't have to plug in our hose just on the driver's side and then run it all to all four tires. We can run a shorter hose from just one side to the other. So let's go and air up these tires and show you guys how that works. It is kind of slow. It works pretty good though. I mean, we're out here on the trail and I'm able to air up. So one of the things that you need to do to help your battery with this is the Jeep needs to be started really. So I'm going to start the Jeep up. So compressor's on, lights on, let me know that it's on. You heard it kick on. So I've got some pressure built up in the manifold. Now I ended up going with a different hose. It came with the orange ARB hose. It was like, I don't know, 20 foot long. The thing was way too long. I put all this stuff in this bag in the corner and it was just filling it up so quick. So I ended up going with a smaller one off Amazon. So yeah, we will just connect this end into the port. Just like that. And then I'll get my ARB chuck. And I found that this is pretty decently accurate too. So now we gotta air these tires up. Let's do it. Okay, 13 and a half. $28, 30, 32 and a half, 34, 34 and a half, 35. It's literally as simple as that. And then when I'm ready to disengage, I'm going to shut the compressor off, and then I usually let the air out. So then when I go to pull this off, there it goes. So as simple as that. Now I can just coil my hose back up. Whoa, it's great. I can coil my hose back up, throw it in the Jeep, and off we go. We got full tires again. And I still got one tire left to go, but it's getting kind of late. Little man needs to get home and get some dinner. So do I. Elizabeth's probably gonna kill us about now that we're still out on the trail. But thank you guys for watching. Like I said, 813 Fabrication, Jeremy Williams. I had an issue. One of the things I forgot to mention was I said I had an issue when I was doing this install initially. I had one of the stainless steel braided hoses was actually leaking at the fitting itself, or at the coupler portion, and he ended up, I made a temporary one at work to use to get me by for a day, and then he ended up shipping me one within, I think it was 2 days, and I got a brand new one, and it worked perfectly. Never had any issues with the new one. It didn't leak, so clearly the coupler was my issue. But Jeremy Williams, super great guy. Reach out to him if you ever need anything. He's doing some really cool stuff. He makes all sorts of brackets. He makes brackets for the 4xe cowl portion. So if you wanted your air couplers and all of that, he makes other ones for behind the rear seat. He makes them for all sorts of stuff. By the way, this bracket under the seat can work on drivers or passenger. Apparently the passenger, they say, it's got a little bit more room underneath the passenger seat. I don't know how valid that is myself, but there was plenty of room, I thought, under the driver's seat. You did have to orient it the correct way. You had to clock the fitting on the compressor the correct way, so when your seat slides back and forth, it doesn't hit. But regardless, everything fits, slides perfectly, works perfectly. ARB dual twin compressor on the fly, can air up my tires, ready to go. So thanks for watching again, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this one too. Like I said, we were bringing a couple videos for you guys tonight from here at Yankee Springs along the trails. So sorry if that's a little annoying that I'm in the same clothes, but it's what we do when we have a 1-year-old and we have a little bit of extra time. We film some cool videos. All right, we're gonna air this tire up, get back on the trail, find some pavement, head home. We'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Good job, Bobby. We filmed one video. Woo! You bring it home, Mommy, Father. Aww.